All right, true to my word, it is 1:01. So when we are going to get started. Hi, welcome to Community Science. My name is Chris. And as you can see, actually you can't see because I didn't share my screen yet. But we're going to talk about, community science. Now, a lot of people call it citizen science. We're going to get into that in a few minutes too. I hate it when you have 3 screens growing and none of them want to work. You would think after how many years of doing Zoom, we would have figured this out by now. But alas. Fantastic. Better? All right, let's try this over. Hi, welcome to Community Science in your library. My name's Chris Dorman. I'm the STEM librarian at the Maine State Library. My pronouns are she, her, and my current focus, which I'm not gonna lie, probably started in August, is spooky season. For those of you who don't know, I am the owner of now 2 12-foot skeletons. I don't call it a problem, I call it possible hoarding. Their names are Arl and Elvira, and I also have a full graveyard with moving animatronics that I made myself because I have a problem. Now we're going to do a quick icebreaker for those of you that are in the chat. As you can see, this is the famous picture of me in my basement lab, and on the count of 5, I want you to focus on something that you think is odd or random in this picture, because there's nothing odd or random in this picture. And I want you to then type it into the chat, because I'm always curious as to what other people find interesting. So I'm going to give you a few seconds. I'm going to count to 10 in my head. I'm honestly looking at it too, going, oh, I don't remember that. I don't even know where that tape measure went. And on the count of 3, 1, 2, 3, hit enter. I love looking at that stuff. It's just fun to see what people notice. Side note, I also broke my yellow screwdriver, which I was really upset about because that's my favorite screwdriver. So first off, we're going to talk about citizen science. I don't like calling it citizen science. I like calling it community science, because when you say citizen science, I feel like it makes people think that you have to be a citizen in order to do it, and that's just not true. So when I use citizen science or community science, honestly, it's just a mistake, and I kind of use them interspersely, even though I'm not supposed to. But basically, community science is allowing the populace, so anybody who is available, who is interested in doing science, to help scientists gather data. And I'm talking anything from, I'm in one, but we'll talk about later, with squirrels. So I take a 10-minute break every day. I go out on my porch and I count squirrels. And then I send that data in through a panel for one of the websites that we're going to look at later. And I've just helped a scientist track the population of gray squirrels in my community in the state of Maine. So it's that quick and it's that easy. And what we're hoping today is to, 1, get you excited about community science, and 2, give you some low floor, high ceiling activities, which just means some really easy, low lift for you guys activities that you can actually bring to your community to be like, hey, are these things we're interested in? Are these things something that we really want to work on and talk about? To the internet. Now I'm going to share another screen. The big thing you're going to want to know is that this will be available. These are my 3 favorites. Don't worry, you don't have to click them right now or write down the bit.ly or whatever. I'm going to give you the QR and the bit.ly code at the end. You guys can all see this and use this at your leisure. We're going to do a new share. Dun, dun, dun. This is my absolute favorite. I love SciStarter. I love SciStarter because they work really, really well with libraries. They make everything very, very easy to understand. And you also get badges, because you know me, I'm like a little hobbit or badger, and I just collect things like a little weird dragon. You can actually go through for SciStarter and look under libraries. They have phenomenal trainings for librarians. They've broken them down into like 5-minute sessions. If you're really interested, take 15 or 20 minutes, go through the entire thing. It breaks down how to use the website, how to get involved, libraries of resources. You can actually talk to scientists, which is phenomenal. So you can get in contact with them, talk to them both about their projects or just in general. Get you in touch with a lot of community assets and resources, both state, nation, and worldwide, which is really, really fun. Opening people's worldviews, especially if you're using like teens, because, you know, I'll really want to get teens both outside of Maine, but keep them in Maine. It's like a weird thing. I haven't figured out how to do it yet, but this might be a start. The thing that I like most is they also do Girl Scout badges, which we can use. If you haven't seen some of the new Girl Scout badges, I was a Girl Scout, and whether you like scouting or not, all of the resources are mostly online. The new Girl Scout badges, oh, chef's kiss. They are so well done. They're STEM, their entrepreneurship, their business, like, they're doing amazing things. The other reason I like SciStarter is because obviously you can look for projects, so things you're interested in, events. The fun thing I want to show everyone is not only do they have trainings, it's the dashboard. I'm going to let all of you see my dashboard. Ta-da! So as you can see, I am part of Project Squirrel. I'm a participant. I can message the project, I can share it out, I can leave feedback. And basically the whole project is, again, you are helping scientists track squirrels, track the type of squirrel, track how many squirrels. And I just go out to my backyard every day and I count the squirrels that are fighting in my trees. And it's just that easy. I'm contributing science. It doesn't have to be hard. It doesn't have to be a heavy lift. It's as simple as counting squirrels. Science doesn't have to be hard. I say it over and over again. I don't even remember doing stone catchers. I'll have to look at that one. You can also do saved and visited projects. Obviously, I went through the Citizen of Science Academy. It was phenomenal. I can't rate this high enough. My contributions, things that I have helped go through and do, you know, the science of it. I have 2 projects that I have yet to join because honestly, as most of you know, my love of October usually comes back to bite me, and I get much busier than I ever planned on. You can do obviously profiles, people do recommendations. I'm not going to go into this because we are recording it and I don't want anybody to see, you know, private information. Not that I remember passwords. But I love SciStarter. Goodness. Because it's as simple as, for instance, I don't know if any of you are aware, we have an eclipse coming up. You can do on a lunch break. This is how I found the squirrels, because as librarians, we do love a good search. We can do topics, projects. This is probably why I really like SciStar the most is that it has ages. You can break it down. See what we got. There's nothing. Ugh. That's all right. I was hoping we'd have something. But again, one of my favorites. I love it a lot. Also, their logo is a cute little blue robot. How can you not love that? I recommend taking like the trainings, finding resources. It's my favorite. Like I can't speak highly enough of this. And while I could go through and I could do an entire training on this, they've done such a well-formed, insightful how-to training and how libraries can incorporate into this community that I can't match it. Like what they've done is by far better than anything that I could ever do, and I accept it. The next one we're going to talk about is citizenscience.gov. Obviously, as librarians, .gov. This one I like for both finding projects. These are usually a little bigger in scope. They usually tend, again, to, not that they're not fun and easy, but they usually tend to go a little bigger. So these are usually more nationwide. You can break it down and search through for either general searches or for your state, region, yada yada. They have a great toolkit because I don't know about you, but I love a good, well put together toolkit. You can join different communities, and most of the communities are very active, especially online, and some, especially if you find local communities, actually have in-person meetings, and you can go and talk to these people about this random new science like fascination you found. I'm not going to do that with squirrels because that could be bad. I like squirrels. Again, it has projects anywhere from something as easy as counting squirrels to something as high level as they are actually tagging individuals who have very high tech, accurate telescopes, and they will actually use that data to help look at the night sky. They're using satellite data along with the data that amateur astronomers are taking in, and they're mapping the Milky Way. They're mapping our galaxy. And I mean, I'm not saying how cool would that be to flex and be like, I helped NASA map the Milky Way. Like, come on. Like that would be a little flex. Like just like drop that into the conversation. And you're either going to get a ooh, or you're going to get a who is this person? So use it your own device. And again, this is anywhere from, you could do cloud spotting on Mars if you have a big telescope. This is also the one where you can click penguins. There are lots of pictures of penguins and you have to count the different types of penguins. There's also one where you can do penguin or rock, which is a lot of fun because basically if you've had a stressful day and you need something where you're just like, I want to help scientists, but I also don't really want to think, they just give you these pictures, and inside these pictures you have the ability to either click penguin or rock. And it sounds silly, but ooh, the zen, because you just go through pictures and you're like penguin, 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 click, penguin, 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 click. And sometimes you can't actually tell with the photos if it's a penguin or a rock, so you just say question mark, and it's just that simple. And again, you're helping scientists both discover the type of penguins that are areas, what their habitat looks like, their population. Is it going up? Is it going down? Is it some spot that they normally see that particular type of penguin? I don't know if anybody's caught on, but squirrels and penguins are like some of my favorite animals. We could also do dinosaurs somehow for citizen science in the state of Maine or community science. I would be all about it. Alas, I feel like That's not going to happen. Does anybody have any questions? How does the chat look, Cara?
All good.
Sweet. Again, if you have any questions, please put them in the chat or just unmute. We have a pretty small group today. So the other one I have is citizen science NASA, because we are currently working with GMRI on a big GMRI is Gulf of Maine Research Institute. For those of you who don't know, they're located in Portland. And we're working with NASA. So we have a lot of really interesting opportunities coming up for some community science, especially when we're talking about forestry and trees. And I mean, it's NASA. Like, I don't know what to say other than it's NASA. And you can be like, hey, I'm helping NASA. Again, how much fun would that be? I'm helping NASA. Not all of these are, all of these projects require like big telescopes or telescopes at all. There are a lot of them where you can just count light density, which sounds really hard, but is very, very easy. They give you an app. I'm trying to see. It also goes through all kinds of ages, goes back and forth. There we go. Penguin populations. I knew it was on here. And again, they go from, you know, very granular, like local area, all the way up to, I mean, your galaxy, our galaxy, not yours. I live here too, our galaxy. I don't necessarily have a favorite one other than I like the penguins. But all I can do is say, go on, click around, play around, have fun. But most of all, the whole point of citizen science, I'm going to stop my share right now. Boop. The whole point of citizen science is I want all of you to not only ask yourself, like, what do I want to do as librarian for science? And most importantly, what is my community interested in? Are they interested in climate change? Are they interested in drought or precipitation? Are they interested in, you know, changing weather patterns? Are they interested in extreme storms? Are they interested in, you know, the fact that every time it rains a little bit, the manhole covers on Commercial Street in Portland start to float? If anyone isn't aware, those are 45 plus pounds of solid iron. They shouldn't float. So when it does, it's very concerning or disconcerting. So I guess the best way to ask the next part is, are there any specifics that you think your communities would be invested in? Is there something that someone has come in and said, hey, have you heard about this? Hey, are you interested in this? For just general topics of science. Either unmute yourself, raise your hand, or you can also put it in your topic, in the chat topic. Oh, apologies, it is 88 in my office right now. I'm a little fried. Nobody has anything that they want to talk about as far as science or things that their communities are interested in? Nothing. I find that hard to believe. Like, you haven't had anybody come in and be like, oh, those woolly alginines, or the Japanese beetles are eating everything. Nothing. Robin, I feel like you're a plant. I want you to ask a question.
Sure. So I think
where we've been working with lots of folks is about invasive pests in forests. So it could be about ticks or invasive bugs that are killing trees. So that's where a lot of our attention has been lately.
There are a lot of good. There is one, and Robin might make a face at this. Robin, by the way, for full transparency, works for GMRI. We've partnered on a lot of stuff. Oh, I just lost my train of thought. Well, it was there and now I've lost it. Oh, I remember now. There is one that does a lot with community science. It's called Globe Observer. I haven't used it. I don't feel like I've used it enough. Well, I've used it enough to know that I haven't used it enough. It's Globe Observer. It's a fantastic app. You can take it mobile. You can take it into, well, wherever you can almost get cell phone service and use it. I just haven't honestly played with it enough, and I don't feel that I could go through the bonus points of it. However, hopefully sometime this spring I'll have just a webinar on Globe Advisor, Globe Observer. Oof, it's a day. So again, we were talking about invasive pests, especially in Maine. I don't know if you realize this, but scientists just released some other bugs to combat some bugs. And we don't know how it works yet because they just released them. And it makes me nervous because they said Japanese beetles. And I, for one, am fighting Japanese beetles right now because I used to have an amazing raspberry garden. And now I just have kind of sad looking, half-leaved raspberry bushes because I have a serious Japanese beetle infestation. Oh, and yes, that will be part of the eclipse training that's coming up, hopefully. And we definitely want you all to talk about the eclipse, experience the eclipse. We'll talk about that more, but don't just look at it through your phone because it's going to be awesome. Even if, as Robin mentioned in the chat, it's going to be cloudy, but it's not. It's going to be beautiful. It's going to be sunny, and it's going to be an amazing experience. And I'm going to keep saying that because I don't know if I believe in manifesting, but this is the one thing that needs to happen. Like, it's going to be beautiful, it's going to be sunny, and I'm going to see a total eclipse. Does anybody necessarily have any questions about any of these three resources? Trying to do the pregnant pause. It's so hard. Also, I feel like I'm just sitting here like, it's just weird.
Chris, I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
I personally have been very interested in precipitation lately. And I put a measuring thing. That's the technical name, right?
Engage.
Yes, thank you. Is there something that I could do with the data I'm collecting?
Yes, actually. I am pretty sure it's through the Cooperative Extension. Cooperative Extension is also a phenomenal group to work with. They work with, they're out of actually Yomo, but yeah, they're doing one on water and retention and runoff. So yes, but again, you can also go here. I want you to know that while you're all staring at me, I'm going to go back to SciStarter because it makes me happy. It looks like there are two. And it was just that easy. I actually just typed in rain gauge and now I have two options. Precipitation is a big thing actually because it's been so rainy this year. Hopefully it will continue on through the winter, says the kid who really wants snow because it's now almost 88 in my office. I'm okay with snow. Like it can happen. But it's anything that you can think of. Chances are that there are scientists somewhere looking for help and gathering data. Because if they're just a small group of scientists located in, say, we'll use Bethesda because that's always fun to say. They can't necessarily get out or have the grant money or the funds to travel around and take all of these readings. Whereas Kara can go outside, look at a rain gauge after a rainstorm, realize, oh, we got 2.6 inches of rain. Note the time. She knows where she lives because she knows her own address, and then go back to any one of these websites, plug that in, and she's just contributed to now that scientist data set. And that's pretty cool how we're leveraging our communities to help broaden scientific research, to help us fight things like invasive species, to help us fight climate change, to help us understand climate better. I mean, again, science doesn't have to be hard and it doesn't have to be time consuming. Big Night Out is another example of something that they started so that families could get together. And now one night, I believe it's in April, sounds right. One night in April, you go out in the dark with a headlamp and all your safety gear, and you count frogs, you count amphibians, you count lizards and newts, and you have to take a big test. And now I can name all the different kinds of frogs and newts and salamanders in Maine. And I'm very proud of myself for that. I didn't even know we had red salamanders, but apparently we do. And you collect that data and you help the biologists in Maine understand how, you know, both climate and impeachment and space loss are affecting our amphibians. And if you say that amphibians are gross, like, stop it. Frogs are cute and jumpy. Does anybody else have anything that they're very, like, I was hoping this would be a very public discussion, but you're all very, very quiet. I could sit here and talk about stuff, but like engagement, please. Or better yet, I know most of you have been lifelong Mainers. When you were a kid, did you ever see cardinals? My husband, who is from away, didn't understand why I was sitting there staring at the bright red bird going, huh. He's like, what? It's a cardinal. I'm like, yeah, but we didn't have those when I was a kid. So why are they here now? Like, why is their range expanded? And what does that mean for our local birds? Like, right now I have a chickadee screaming outside of my office, which is why I brought it up. I don't know what is going on, but he is very, very upset. And it's just little questions like that you can get students involved in. And it can also be something as if you think that any of this is too big and it's too much, get a bird feeder outside, put it outside of a window, put a big piece of paper next to it. And every time somebody walks by, if there's a bird that they can identify, have them either put a check mark or put like the little circle stickers that everybody loves, put a circle sticker under that specific type. Like, oh, I saw a chickadee. Oh, I saw a blue jay. Oh, I saw a cardinal. It doesn't have to be hard. And you're gathering knowledge, you're gathering data, and then you can start to talk about, you know, why getting data is important and how to use that data. I bet you can even find a biologist who will look at that data and be like, oh yeah, for your region, that actually makes sense. But I'm not sure if you saw I don't know, a woolly grossified, that's not a real bird. But maybe you saw one of those. I saw a phoenix. Somebody says that, you know, I saw an emu at the bird feeder. I'd be more concerned that there's an emu outside of your library than I would believe that there is actually an emu. Also, if you see an emu at your library, please call animal control and do not go outside because they can be very grumpy and they have pointy claws on their toes. Please don't approach the emus. But do take pictures and send them to me, because that deserves to go on the Maine State Library Facebook. I feel like I'm talking a lot, but it's all about not making it hard, gathering evidence and data in the easiest way possible. Sometimes it's just clicking a picture, trying to take an educated guess at what kind of bee you have, and then sending it in. And they have scientists who are usually poor little undergrads or graduates doing something to look at that and be like, hey, this is a bumblebee, or hey, this is an actual honeybee, or hey, this is a European honeybee. There's a difference. And keeping track of our bee population. And all you had to do was take a picture of a honeybee on your front lawn and upload it. And you're helping science. And I think that's kind of cool. Like, you're helping global science, and all you had to do was take a picture. I mean, I know I'm a science geek, but like, it's pretty cool. Anybody? Give me one example of something. Somebody must have come in and said something about their vegetable garden, or something about too much rain, or runoff in the fields, or maybe I just have too many farmers in my family. That could also be an issue. Nothing, Brooke. I'm gonna start calling you out because I know all of you in person. Well, here, let's think of something that is near and dear to Maine. Well, there's also the woolly alligid, alligin. It's the woolly thing that's eating our furs, which is a problem. Now, around my house, we don't have a lot of furs, so I'd like to say that I'm very invested in this, but I'm not. However, the new worm that eats all the duff, that ruins maple trees, I'm very invested in that one. And I'm actively a part of, I believe, 2 citizen science or community science accounts, because my family has a sugar shack. Like, that's how we make our vacation money. We work really, really hard for 4 or 5 weeks in the very early spring. And then we save money to go someplace horrible. But I have a lot of nieces and nephews, so it's usually Disney. It's just how it works. We go to Disney. But if those worms get out and they start eating all the duff, which is all the nutrients for my maple trees, it gets in my sugar bush, like, that's going to be a problem. Because if we don't have sugar maples, or maples in general, then we don't have maple syrup. And I mean, I like maple syrup. It'll be a problem. Elgidid. Me no talk good words. And don't worry, as soon as we shut off, I'll be able to say it perfectly, but it's because I'm on camera that now I can't say it at all. That's how it works. Green crabs are the same thing. And if they are invasive and we can't get rid of them, or we can't contain them, how can we use them in different ways? The Gulf of Maine is warming faster than any other body of water right now. So that means that lobsters are moving north, which means that our lobster population, where normally fishermen trap lobsters, is drastically going down. But not only that, now we're getting a lot of sea bass. So how can we create a fishery around sea bass? Have anybody had sea bass? It's pretty good. So how do we how do we change that economic growth? How do we shift? How do we help our communities? Cats are so quiet. There's only a few of you. Well, since nothing is happening in your communities, I don't know. There's a lot of stuff that's going on right now in science that's very, very important. Most of all, or mostly, it unfortunately revolves around either invasive species or climate change. I don't know if anybody was aware if they watched the news, but when you put a giant festival with a bunch of people on a dried up lake bed and then it rains, bad things happen. And it only rains on that dry lake bed like 7 to 8 days out of the entire year. And the fact that it has rained for almost 4 days straight, that's a very unusual thing to have happen. And scientists are now both collecting data and have historical data that's saying that, yeah, it's because of climate change. So it's kind of a big thing. Why do I have, cardinals at my bird feeder when, as a kid who was an avid nerd and a grandmother and grandfather who had at least 6 bird feeders going all the time, we didn't see those birds. We had really fat squirrels and fat chickadees, but we didn't have cardinals. We had the occasional blue jay. They're so mean, those blue jays. Loss of habitat. Like, everybody loves how northern Maine is beautiful, but what happens when everyone who starts building condos in northern Maine? Well, northwest Maine. So it's all stuff to think about, and it's all stuff that you can talk about in your libraries. And 3 sites that I gave you, along with Globe Observer, which is fantastic, but I don't know them as well as the 3 I showed you. They're all right there. And again, helping scientists is just cool. Oh, Jennifer. So Jennifer just put in the chat, for those of you who can't read, community science data collection seems like it'd be a good addition to our sensory garden program. There are so many ways that you can collect data for some of these projects, especially if you're looking for cooperative extension. They actually have a master gardener program, and they will come and do free programs for you. But the other thing is, like, depending on what kind of audience you have, like, there are ones where you can count bugs. As a child, I got an empty bottle of soda and I would flick bugs into the soda bottle, and then we had to take it up to my grandfather, who would count the bugs, and then I would get paid for the bugs. I'm not proud of it, but man, those aphids, they were $0.25 a piece. But it gives you ideas into what kind of species are, in the region. Are they things that we've seen all the time? Are they things that are very recent? Do you have invasive species? How do you get rid of them? Why are some plants really flourishing while others are all chewed up? So yes, it's 100% how I want you to use that. Does that make sense to everyone? Like, again, make it easy and tailor it to your community and your library. Again, I don't know how to say this other than science doesn't have to be hard. It just has to be fun. Find something that your community is interested in and just follow them down that rabbit hole. Or find something you're interested in and then grab your community and drag them along. That's also an option. I've done that before.
Can I chime in for a second, Chris?
Have that.
Sure. So at GMRI, we do a lot of work with school-age students, but I feel like there's a lot of opportunities to do intergenerational community science work, where you can have folks as young as elementary school all the way up to older adults all participating in it together. So it could be a good opportunity to bring together a lot of different patron communities at once.
Please, it's community science. not children's room science, because I feel like children's room gets to do all the fun stuff and the adults are just like, oh, I'm coming for a book. Adults want to do science. And again, it doesn't have to be hard, doesn't have to be taxing. And most of the time, they don't even have to go out of their way, because again, you can be walking to your car and go, oh, a bumblebee. Take a picture and upload it. Oh, that's a weird sound that a bird's making. What kind of bird is it? But yes, intergenerational, lots of opportunities, and it's community vested. So what is your community interested in? And then you can tailor that and go forth and do science. Go count squirrels. I mean, how easy is that? Does anybody have any other questions or comments? Seeing a lot of no's. I'm seeing a lot of, it's really, really hot today. I hope you're all in AC. That's all I had. If you have any questions, as always, christina.dorman@maine.gov. All of you know where to reach me. And if you feel to do so, if you either want more in-depth or there's something that you're really, really interested about that you're not sure you're ready for, is it's okay to learn with your community. I do it all the time. I like being wrong most of the time. I guess I can just say thanks for coming. That is the bit.ly and the QR for the entire presentation so that you can have those 3 websites. They are my favorite. It's my email. Again, if you have any questions either about community science or working with scientists or bringing people into your library, please contact me. And again, October is STEM month. We have a lot of stuff on the eclipse coming up. Because again, I don't know if you realize this, but we have an eclipse. It's on April 8th, and it's going to start at like 3:29, and it's going to be amazing. It's going to be clear and sunny. Clear and sunny. So definitely, especially, well, you're anywhere in Maine, you're going to see it, and it's going to be amazing. So if you have any questions about that, please register. The link is on our CE calendar. We're also doing facilitation training. And I just took it downstairs, but you will get an entire kit of climate and extreme weather activities. And there's some money in the kit. So please go and sign up if you are available to come, all on the CE calendar. And that's about it. Stay cool and enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you for coming.